Attend the tale of Maxwell Roth. He sought the footlights like a moth, his sense of timing never off until he opted to collaborate with a hooded reprobate. The blighter and assassin made a deadly double bill. Jokes, 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 make 'em laugh until they choke. Fairly slay 'em in the aisles, maidens fair and princes charming. Thrills, 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 dashing feats and bloody spills, and I guarantee you'll never see the ending coming. The curtain rose, the scene was set, they danced a murderous duet, and much deserving blood was let up to the scene wherein they disagreed on who should live and who should bleed, and Maxwell Rothy then received a very bad review. Jokes, 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 and there's daggers and there's cloaks, but behind the scenes the leading players differ on the plot. Laugh, laugh, laugh at the dandy's new red scarf. Now 8 shows a week to Beelzebub is his eternal lot. Jokes, 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 make 'em laugh until they choke. Fairly slay 'em in the aisles, maidens fair and princes charming. Thrills, 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 dashing feats and bloody spills, and I guarantee you'll never see the ending coming.
Hello. Did you see the ending coming? I didn't. I didn't see it coming at all. How are you guys? How are you feeling? How you doing? Feeling good? Living life? Swinging through existence or something? How are you? Hopefully you're doing well. I'm doing good. We are here vibing and chilling. Taylor's tired. Oh, I'm sorry, my friend. According to my watch, I'm going off of 5 hours, so I don't know who wins, but I feel you. I feel you. That's why I'm drinking a protein shake and a Red Bull, living my best life, as you do. Luke, ooh baby, 7 months. It's crazy to me. 7 months, time flies. Thank you for the support. Lies of P is going to be the best Pinocchio game ever made. The first Dark Souls kind of game I've played or been pulled into. Happy to be here, my lord. I'm also very into it. Very. Very. And guess what we got? Guess what we got? A weapons showcase. Like just now, like 58 minutes ago. So good timing on that. Good timing on that. I have no idea what this contains. I've not watched it, but let's see together. Let's grow and learn together. We're not beating around the bush, just right into it. Okay. Just to be clear, they said one of the most prominent questions we received was regarding the weapon assemble system. In this video, we introduce hand-packed assembled weapons and unique weapons as well. More weapons are still left uncovered in Krat. Discover hundreds of possible combinations and find the perfect weapon for you with the weapon assemble system on September 19th when the game launches. So this person has the blade, Dancer's curved sword blade, and then the handle, the booster glaive handle. Okay. And then they combine together. That's trippy. So like you can just straight up make your own weapon. Come on. Come on. And then the dagger blade with the Master Chef's knife handle. Okay. Ooh. That's a new enemy. I mean, it's just like you can combine, I don't know if it's any 2 weapons you want, but you can combine 2 weapons together. They say there's hundreds of combinations. That's pretty outrageous. Like, that's crazy. This is the brand new weapon, what did they call it? The weapon assemble system. where you can, in Lies of P, combine two weapons together to get the best of both sides of them, depending on your playstyle. So in this case, it's a rapier's blade with a blind man's double-sided spear handle. So it combines the rapier with the spear handle. So you still get the speed of it, but you get the range of the spear. Like, that's crazy. I mean, this could be something where it's just a nothing burger and it's just like, oh, you combined a fast twitch weapon handle with this other weapon blade, and so then you get the damage of the blade, but you get the movement of the handle. I mean, still, that's cool. But I could see this being really intense if it actually has a lot of variability and it can really change how the weapons play and how they deal damage. Like, imagine speedrunners trying to come up with the perfect assembly of weapons and combinations. Look at that. Bone-cutting saw blade with carcass crystal axe handle. That's wild, dude. So, I mean, again, every time I see more of this game, I'm just like, okay, that's even crazier. Okay, wow, what else is there that they haven't told us yet? You know? It was in the demo? Yeah, like, but you couldn't combine hundreds of pieces together. Like, I think we all just assumed, like, these were little bitty tidbits or like, cool cosmetic shifts. Oh, God, look at... That's awesome. I haven't seen that weapon before. If that was in the demo, I totally missed that. That's just cool. It's a bunch of little hands or arms holding the blade. That's just cool. That's just badass. Oh, man. That's baller. I might have to try that. Oh, now, again, maintaining skepticism. We don't know much of anything about this game or the studio, so we should not get just like totally balls out hyped for it. We should maintain cautious optimism, which we are desperately going to try and do. But in this case, we've actually gotten to try it. We've gotten to play it, see what it's like, and in that capacity, I think it looks pretty good. All the weapons look relatively fast. It seems like a game that's built on being very aggressive. That seems to be the whole meta of it. In other words, it doesn't seem like a game where you're going to be bouncing around like blocking or tanking. Maybe there are ways to build out a tank variant or something, but it doesn't seem like that is what they want you to do. Because all the gameplay we've seen, you're right, is very fast-paced. Get in there, get your hands dirty. This is my one allowed hype game. I mean, the one thing with hype is, like, if you're gonna be hyped for something, I think being hyped for a game on Game Pass is probably the best option. You know, like, if it sucks, you're not losing any extra money because you've already paid for Game Pass, presumably. So it's not that big of a deal, right? So I think you should still avoid hype, but I can forgive hype more easily if it's a Game Pass title. Same with Starfield. You know, if you're not paying for the early access and you're just going to try it for yourself when it drops on Game Pass, I can respect it, you know? Yeah, I mean, we had the demo, so pretty much we know for certain it's going to be great. It was a huge demo. It was a huge demo. It played really well. Is it possible that it still, like, the demo was great, but the game is terrible? I guess. But, I mean, can anybody think of an example where the demo was awesome, but the game sucked? I personally can't. I'm not sure. Demos are also more rare now. Final Fantasy 16. I thought 16's demo actually did a pretty good job of showing what the game was like. But maybe that's just me. You know, maybe that's just me. Final Fantasy 16 video, please. I'm open to it, but when I've done surveys and stuff looking at my audience, it doesn't seem like people are that interested, honestly, which is weird because it's one of the biggest games of the year, especially in terms of budget. But for whatever reason, people just don't, like, they're not digging it, which is just kind of odd. It's just kind of odd. Oh, this was funny. I'll show you guys this real quick. me see if I can find it again. Yeah. The Act Man. So you guys remember there was the whole like fake outrage debacle over Starfield having pronoun selection in the character creator. Well, it all started from this guy, Heel versus Babyface, I guess is his name. I've never actually looked him up. Should we look him up? Hold on. Heel versus Babyface. I like recognize his face, so I think I've seen him places. But I've never watched any of his stuff. I don't know. It looks like typically he just does like rage baiting stuff. So I don't want to give him undue attention, but it is funny that the Act Man went and collected his take on Hogwarts Legacy and compared it to his take on Starfield. And all of a sudden it's very, very different, his opinion of these two games.
I will not be berated, bullied, intimidated into not playing a game because you think it attacks you or goes against your ideology. Boo fucking who? Man up! Fucking pronouns! Boo fucking who? Man up! Fucking gender ambiguity! You think it attacks you or goes against your ideology, and you just can't help shovel your dog shit! You think it attacks you or goes against your ideology. Fucking crap! Ideology into everything! You think it attacks you or goes against your ideology. Goes against your ideology. Goes against your ideology. We can't see past our own fucking reflection! Agreed. I will not.
It's just so delicious. It's so delicious. Totally over the head. Does not realize whatsoever that he's doing exactly what he hated on everybody for doing around the Hogwarts Legacy period. Like, he is what he hates, and he does not see it. Because when you are on any extreme, you are, it turns you crazy. Like, it turns you absolutely crazy. So don't do that. Try to maintain a level head. Very, very silly. It literally doesn't affect the game. I honestly don't remember if the game even refers to me as he or him at all. I can't remember a time, but even in like, what's really funny is he didn't have a problem at all with Hogwarts Legacy, right? Because the people he didn't like were upset about it. But Hogwarts Legacy, if I remember correctly, refers to everybody with they them pronouns because they only wanted to record one set of dialogue. They didn't want to have to record like 3 different ones for he, him, she, her, and they them. So everybody was like, when you're in the room with a professor, they say, did you see what the student found? They looked at this spot and they found this. And so they always use the neutral pronoun because then they could get away with having one recording to cover both, or I guess all 3. Like, it just is, it makes sense. Like, it's just simplified in that way, but didn't have a problem with that. Can you imagine the freak out if Starfield had the option? They're like, oh no, we're gonna force you to use they them pronoun. Like, total meltdown, even though a few months ago there was no issue. You know, it's just, it's delicious. So one of the comments, also, this is a slight tangent or shift. One of the comments, I just wanted to do this before I forgot about it. On the Starfield correction highlight from yesterday's stream, this was funny. The greatest scandal about Luke. He promised that he'd be exploring, visiting all 1,000 planets. We will never forget Luke. And unironically, okay, let me be very honest. I am open to doing this for the sake of a video. It could be funny to make a video where we're like, yeah, we went to every single planet. Sure did. I don't know what the purpose of that would be other than just saying that we did it. But you know, we could do it. I don't know how many areas I've explored or how many planets I've explored at this point. I don't know if the game even tracks it, but other than like showing it as a white orb versus red. But man, it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know. Make the video private and DM it only to him. Oh yeah. Starfield road trip in the ship. Yeah, well, the whole thing is it would literally be nonstop load screens. Like, most of the stream would be load screens. It would be land on the planet, press M, select the next planet over, fast travel there, then select the landing zone, land, press M, back out to the system view, go to the next planet, and just recycle it. Because, like, I don't think it's feasible to go and explore every point of interest on every planet. I'm not sure if that's feasible without spending like 150 hours just methodically doing that. So if we're just landing, we could probably grind it out. It would be very tedious and very annoying, but we could probably grind it out. Again, I don't know if it's worth it just for the clout of being able to say that we did it, but it could be fun. It could be fun. I don't know. Do it for charity? That's not a bad idea, Luke. We could do it as a charity stream. That could be funny. Visiting every planet in Starfield. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how long it would take. It's like 5 seconds to load each time. So let's say, just rounding up for button inputs and stuff. Let's say navigating the map also averages 5 to 10 seconds. So let's say it's like 30 seconds to get to the planet's surface. Let's even give us a little extra time just because we might have to back out of the solar system view and then do that. And then there's also going to be filler space where I might be taking a drink or something. So let's say it's like 45 seconds. I don't know, 45 seconds each planet. That's booking it, but 45 seconds to each. Do moons count? My understanding is that those moons count towards the 1,000 planet number. I'm not certain because Bethesda won't say clearly how they counted the 1,000 planets, but my understanding is that the moons also count. And so do the gas giants. So the gas giants that you can't land on, I guess we would just have to fly to them, and that would count. I don't know. But with that, I mean, if we just say that they say over 1,000, I don't know how many exactly there are. Nobody seems to have counted it yet. So like, let's just say 1,050. 47,000 seconds divided by 60 gives us minutes. Divided by 60 will give us hours. I mean, doing it non-stop at 45 seconds a piece is going to take us 13 hours. Of every 45 seconds landing on a different planet. So there can be like no dilly-dallying, no lunch breaks. Like just doing that nonstop would be that. Oh, and that's a good point, RS Nos. Doing space combat, because sometimes you go to a planet and there's like a firefighter or pirates or whatever there that engage you in combat. So then you have to warp to another planet or actually another system to get out of that combat. So that also complicates it. So that maybe brings our average up to closer to a minute to 90 seconds. And at that point, we're at like 20 plus hours to get through all of it, assuming nothing else happens. And we do literally nothing else. Yeah, my PC's going to hate me. Well, every time we load to a new area, the whole thing, because the CPU gets like slammed. I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot. We could do it for the memes, but I don't know if Nikki would be a fan. Like you're saying. Especially with a move and 2 children. I'm sorry. I know it's your birthday, my boy, but Daddy's got to go do this really arbitrary, weird thing he promised he would do in a half-joking manner, but he's a man of his word, so here we go. At least she can mow the lawn. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh, golly. Okay, let me catch up. Let's see. We read Luke's re-up for the membership. Thank you again for 7 months. That's crazy. And Worst Box, thank you for the super chat as well. What's the best start for Baldur's Gate 3? Can't decide. If you are familiar with turn-based stuff, I'd say like go magic, go crazy. Like magic and charisma is always super fun. If you're newer to turn-based combat, go melee focused, barbarian or some build like that, because the early game, the first act is heavily tilted towards melee. So if you have a melee character, you'll have a much easier time going through the first act. Whereas magic is a little tougher. You're going to need a lot of melee companions to help. but it's just up to you, you know. Truman Show. Oh, dude, I love The Truman Show. That's a great movie. Jim Carrey, you know, he's a goofball, but that movie, that'll hit you in the feels. That's a good movie. So shifting gears a little bit. We all know that at this point, hopefully, we've all heard the news that, what was it, Volition? The guys behind Saints Row, they were shut down by Deep Silver, or that's technically the publisher. So actually by Embracer Group, their owner. The whole studio shut down after a 30-year history because apparently Saints Row 2 or Saints Row 2022 flopped so badly that the studio just decided you know what? The owner decided to scrap the whole thing. Shove it all out, which is pretty rough. That's a little tragic because it's got a long storied history. These guys are behind the Red Faction series, like one of my favorite franchises ever.
7 super chatted $9.99.
Thank you, Iron.
I've played Starfield for 8 hours and I'm not enjoying it. My friend says I have to get past 12 hours and it gets better. Do you think a game taking 12 hours before getting good is an issue? Skeptical smiley face.
Skeptical smiley face. I didn't even know it reads it as skeptical smiley. That's hilarious. What I would say is I do think it's the same thing with acquired tastes, where it's like, oh, try this whiskey. It's an acquired taste, which just means you're going to hate it and it's going to taste like piss the first 100 times you drink it. And then eventually your body will give up on resisting it and you'll like it. I've never understood the concept of acquired tastes. It's like, if I don't like it now, why would I work hard to eventually like it? Like, how does that make any sense at all? I just don't get it. So if you're not enjoying a game, I don't blame you for wanting to stop. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, whether it's Starfield, whether it's Baldur's Gate, whether it's The Witcher 3. Some games just don't click with people, and that's okay. I think for most games in the modern day, if it takes 12 hours for it to get good, that I would consider to be a failure on the part of the devs. Like, I think Death Stranding is a decently fun and satisfying game to play, even if it has a lot of narrative issues. But one of the criticisms I think you can levy at it pretty comfortably is that it takes a little while to really get going. It takes like 10 to 15 hours to give you all the tools where you can really start to chart your own path and do your deliveries exactly how you want to do them, for it to get really, really fun. And I think that that's an issue. I think that's a flaw in the game's design. I think that they should hook people a little faster. So I would agree. I think it's less than ideal. Witcher 3 also has a very slow start. I totally agree. Once you get out of White Orchard, you know, it picks up a lot. But I don't blame people if they're not hooked by the first 2-3 hours. I don't blame them for wanting to stop. And frankly, with most games, you can tell if you're going to like it within the first few hours. That friend of yours that says it takes 12 hours to get good, I'm guessing he was enjoying it within the first 12 hours as well. I don't think he was like, I'm not having fun at all. I hate this. And then 12 hours hits and he's like, I actually love it. I don't think that's what happened. Usually, you know, pretty quickly if a game is clicking. You might not be totally loving it, but you're like, oh, okay, I'm feeling it. Okay. I'm getting into it. And then it starts to pick up steam, right? If you're not liking it, if you're actively disliking it, I don't think anything is going to magically change once you hit an arbitrary marker. I just don't think you will, personally. Baldur's Gate 3 has stolen my whole life. I'm at work and it's all I can think about, but honestly, I'm not mad about it. It's been a phenomenal year for games. It really has been. It's been a wonderful, wonderful year. But yeah, shifting back, Volition should have listened to their fans when they had the backlash when Saints Row reboot was announced. They should have. They really should have. But Young is reporting in a new video that perhaps the publisher, Deep Silver, might be to blame for the cringe and baffling tone. This could make sense because the devs very well might have been willing to go back to the drawing board and rework some stuff after the reveal was received so poorly. And it could have been that the publisher was like, no, we're not giving you more money to finish this. No, you're going to put it out. People are going to love it. People are gonna love it. We're a bunch of like 50, 60-year-old dudes. We totally know what the young people love. So we're gonna see what this story is. I'm not familiar with it. I haven't heard it, but let's see what Yang had to say.
A few days back, I talked about the shutdown of Volition, the developers behind Saints Row, who recently released a Saints Row entry that was very negatively received near universally. I talked about all of that in a video titled Saints Row Tanked So Badly that publisher Embracer shut down the development studio Volition. In that video, I talked all about its middling Metascore and the poor user score, both on Metacritic and on Steam alike. I talked about the fact that...
Yeah, and we tried it. I even went back and tried it recently. It's just a buggy, broken mess. Like, even today, I ran into a weird soft lock where, like, I can't deal enough damage to stop a monster truck that's coming to like, try and run you over very early in the game. I just can't deal enough damage. And I looked it up, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, this happened. Somebody in the comments afterwards said it's tied to the frame rate. If your computer is too powerful and runs the game at too high a frame rate, you just can't get past that encounter. You can't complete the game. It stops you in that main story mission because the like movement speed of the truck is tied to the frame rate or something. I don't understand it, but basically if your computer's too powerful, it breaks and the truck will run you over every single time. You can't destroy it fast enough. So the game is still just a broken, buggy mess. And it also was built on a really, really shifty foundation that was not captivating for like anybody. I mean, it's like super cringe simulator. It is trying so hard to be funny in so many ways, and it fails every step of the way. I mean, it's one of those games like Forspoken where you just have to play a cutscene from it and everybody immediately goes, oh, like you don't even have to explain it. People just get it. You play that little sequence of Faye or Frey or Buffet, whatever her name was, in Forspoken, and like the one where she's talking to her cuff and is like, wow, I did that. I'm magical now. Ooh, I'm so cool. I'm so great. And like dancing around, gloating about it. And you don't have to say anything. People just listen to it and are like, oh my God, I cannot stand this. This is horrible. It's like a CW superhero show. Like, it's terrible. It's just so cringe. So cringe. I'm going to trigger some people by saying that. I know some people love the CW superhero shows, but I've tried with my little brother, and I'll tell you what, they are shockingly cringy.
How many people bought this game or are playing this game. I talked about how many units this game had to sell to break even. According to analysts, it must sell 2 million units, but despite the optimisms from the CEO who said that he believes the game will make money, ultimately because of how much this game cost to make and how little revenue it generated because of a lack of interest surrounding a game that was just poorly conceived and poorly executed, it led to big losses for the publisher. And while back then Embracer insisted that they would not close Volition or put the Saints Row franchise on ice, that very quickly changed when Volition was, in fact, shut down just a couple days ago. Announced via the following LinkedIn post that reads more like Embracer wrote this statement rather than Volition developers proper, because of the way they kind of try to make this seem like it's a good thing for Embracer. There's also strength in Embracer and maintain its position as a leader in the video game industry, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. Basically, they just decided that Volition was not a powerhouse studio anymore, and they were not confident that they were going to provide value to the company. So they shut them down, which blows. I mean, it blows. It's too bad. Volition has a storied history. They are responsible for some of my favorite games. I mean, I loved the Red Faction franchise when they were still making them. But they had a few weird releases, and then Saints Row 2022, I guess, not 2023, 2022. Well, no, it was 2020. I have no idea. Anyway, the most recent reboot of Saints Row was just panned and everybody hated on it. And so it's not really that big of a surprise. And we've talked about this before, but like the biggest problem for studios that have problematic releases is that they can't get good talent anymore. It was 22. It was like August of 22. Yeah, you're right. But the problem is, like, once you've released a terrible game, no talented developer is going to go, I want to go over there. Like after Anthem dropped, who was going to leave a really successful studio like CDPR or BGS or even like EA, Ubisoft, any of these big studios? Who's going to leave that to go work there? to go work over at BioWare? I know they're within EA, but still, you get what I mean. Like, who's going to leave a big successful studio to go work at a team or with a team that just put out one of the most universally panned releases in recent memory? Nobody wants to do that. It's like hopping onto a sinking ship. Like, nobody would want to do it. And that's a bigger problem than the losses for the publisher. That's a bigger problem than all of the other crap and the hate from fans and maybe lost fan passion. The biggest problem is that your talent starts to dry up. All of your really talented developers want to leave and go somewhere more successful because, let's be honest, everybody would want to work on a game that's going to win Game of the Year, that's going to be beloved by everybody. Nobody wants to work for a loser team. And so for Volition, like, once they have a horribly received game, that becomes a big issue. And for the owners to look at it and they're like, listen, we just lost a ton of money. You guys are losing talent. The talent you had put out a universally panned flop. Why would we continue to hold up this sinking ship? It just doesn't make sense. So they shut it down. It makes sense, but it's still a bummer for sure.
And Volition, having been such a long-running video game company with a 30-year history whose projects range from the Descent series to Free Space to Red Faction to Saints Row, this was definitely something that hit a lot of gamers, especially those who grew up gaming in the 90s and in the early 2000s, pretty hard. Now, since the shutdown, Volition did take the time to write this statement and publish it on social media outlets like Twitter, and this is what that reads like. I'm not going to read all of this. There's nothing in the way of new information offered. It's just Volition kind of expressing their gratitude for 30 years of support from fans and just kind of saying in a heartfelt way that through their ups and downs, everything they did was for the fans and their enthusiasm for the various game series that they developed and represented. And so, you know, this feels more like something that was actually written by Volition, whereas this right here, this statement from LinkedIn, feels more like corporate PR. Now, Deep Silver, who is the publisher of Saints Row and who is also a subsidiary of Embracer, kind of put out this brief statement where they said, our thoughts go out to everyone at Volition, past and present. We're incredibly grateful for their unforgettable work on Saints Row and Red Faction, whose IPs will live on at PlayOn. PlayOn, for those who don't know, was formerly known as Coach Media before it was renamed to PlayOn when the company was acquired by Embracer Group in February of 2018. Now, on one hand, one can interpret Deep Silver saying that these IPs, Red Faction and Saints Row, will live on as them considering making more games for these series. But on the other hand, it could just mean that these IPs will technically exist in the sense that Deep Silver and in turn Embracer will have ownership over them.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe they go back to a couple of these, but Saints Row is now tarnished. Red Faction was tarnished after Armageddon because that one was not received well. So I don't really see them returning to these anytime soon. I mean, the idea that Saints Row was going to be a flop was kind of crazy. I mean, they thought that was going to be a layup. It's a really well-known, very recognizable franchise. We'll put the original team on it. They'll have a huge budget of $100+ million. That thing's going to print money. And then it just didn't. The other thing with Red Faction, which I love dearly, but Red Faction is a very difficult franchise to work with because it's all built on that really impressive destruction tech. If you're not familiar with Red Faction, one of the ideas behind it is that pretty much anything can be destroyed. So if you go and you see a big building in the distance, you can go and demolish it with explosives, with your hammer, whatever. It's super cool. Armageddon was weird because they set most of the game in like underground caves, and there was some destruction, but not really that much. They made it more like a suspense thriller with fighting aliens. It was just kind of weird. But the original Red Faction was really groundbreaking for the time. It's honestly, you owe most of the big traits of FPS games to the original Red Faction. Red Faction 2 was really weird and quirky. Red Faction Armageddon, Guerrilla is pretty good. Very different, but pretty good. And then Armageddon was, again, just kind of weird. It was trying to be basically Saints Row mixed with Red Faction, but also at the same time like Dead Space. It just didn't really work.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that substantial new AAA games will be made from them, especially because Saints Row has proven to be such a risky proposition for Embracer, given how much money it lost the company. But that's in large part to do with the fact that because of how poorly Saints Row, the reboot, was conceived and executed, you know, it was just not a product that was compelling for the masses. Saints Row had an uphill battle as it was because the Saints Row IP is more niche, and they really had to blow it out of the water and really nail it for them to bring back Saints Row in a big way as essentially like a parody to Grand Theft Auto, just much more outlandish in numerous regards. And there was a way to make that work, I think. They just actually had to ship a good good game that was well marketed and well executed, and they failed on all those fronts. So while I hope that one day Saints Row can be revived and be given to a development studio who can do, I guess, another reboot justice, to me, when they say these IPs will live on, all that means is I think that they'll be on life support. They'll be technically alive, but they won't be living. Like, I don't get the sense we'll see a new Saints Row anytime soon after how badly the previous Saints Row, the rebooted Saints Row, flopped, given all of the negative PR surrounding the IP currently, and given that
Yeah, I mean, we're not seeing anything new this generation, for sure. I mean, at this point, nothing within the next 5, 6, 7 years, if we ever see it again. I mean, Saints Row or Red Faction, at this point, I mean, when was last Red Faction? 20... Armageddon was 2011. Man, 2011. And then they did the remastered edition of Guerrilla, but again, that Guerrilla was a 2009 game, so I don't think we're seeing any of this stuff anytime soon.
Embracer as a publisher is not doing so hot after a $2 billion deal with Saudi Arabia fell through, after recent financial briefings showed less than ideal results, in no small part because Saints Row flopped so badly and the budget for that was so huge. Now, one of the big questions that people are asking is just what exactly went wrong with Saints Row Reboot? How could it have shipped in such a state, and why was it so tonally dissonant from what Saints Row originally was? Saints Row was always about gangs, but then this new Saints Row Reboot was all very, like, hippie and all about, like, I don't know, like friendship and stuff. And turns out there might be a reason behind why that direction was taken. It might have something to do with publisher interference, or at least that's based on what YouTuber Flippy has reported in this video titled Volition is Dead. Flippy is somebody who is...
Oh, wait. Young, is this whole thing just Young reacting to another YouTube video? Then we'll just watch Yippie's video. Like, what are we doing? Like, come on. If that's all this is, then... Oops. Okay. Well, Yippie or Flippy, not Yippie, Flippy is the one that made the video we actually want to react to. So let's see what we're dealing with.
Urgency meeting. Volition is officially dead. It's over. Tyron will never get his desk. I was in the middle of editing my final Saints Row reboot video where I was going to elaborate on the state of Saints Row, Deep Silver, and Volition, but this is a complete blindside. So let me just roughly say what I was going to say in that video. I don't know how anyone could be hopeful for this series anymore. They're not going to reboot the game again, and Volition is no longer with Deep Silver, the IP holders. The IP holders who insisted that the game be about friendship and himbos and the gig economy and hashtag that's relatable AF.
Friends and himbos, the gig economy, and hashtag relatable. I think it's like I said, I think in our initial I tried of it, it feels like a game designed by 60-year-old men trying to be relatable to the young people. Even though they have a grandson that is 17 years old, and oh, maybe I can find. Hold on, let me see if I can find this. A picture of a guy popped in my brain. Oh man, I wonder if I can find this. I saw it in like a video of a cringe TikTok influencer getting arrested for assaulting. Oh, it's this one. Dude, it's this one. Delusional TikTok influencer. This is who I imagine their like grandson is. Okay, it's this guy. Where is he? Oh my god, where's the original? Okay. Reactions to reactions to reactions. But he's like this weird wannabe like rock star.
Decide for yourself.
And he like assaulted somebody, and so allegedly, I guess. And so he gets arrested, and he drives like a stupid fancy car, like a Lambo, and I know this is like such a weird diatribe. Then his girlfriend's like, you have no right to arrest him, even though he assaulted somebody. And then he's like, you got to take off all my jewelry, and he's wearing tons of very expensive jewelry. So he has some really rich parent that has just spoiled the crap out of him, and he's just like a pistol whipped somebody. Yeah. It's on video. Yeah, that's him driving and doing this. Like it's some wannabe celebrity TikTok dude, lolcow, and he's just a maniac. Just a maniac. But he's got really rich parents that have allowed him to live like this. And that's, you know what, honestly, his parents are probably executives over at Embracer Group or Deep Silver or whatever, and are the ones like they think that he's normal for this generation. Like they're the normal teenager or young adult in America. So they put out Saints Row thinking everybody's like that kid. And so he makes this because it's like, yeah, this is what all these kids
Elder
are like. Very
Millennial
relatable.
Super chatted $5.
It's not at all.
When it comes to top tier, open world destruction games, Red Faction, Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, BF3 and Mercenaries are all-time classics.
Yes. Again, if you are interested in like destructible environments, Red Faction, go try it. It's a good time. And they're cheap because they're like 15 years old. But anyway, all that to say, thank you again for the 5. All that to say, this is all just very much 60-year-old men trying to be relatable to the young people based on their impressions of young people, probably from a grandson like that, or what they see when they pull up TikTok and scroll through it for 3 minutes thinking that they're checking their email because they have no idea how to use technology. That's the type of people that made these decisions.
And teal. Deep Silver really pushed the color teal for branding. I gotta make this clear. For as much as we all want to blame Volition,
I just don't know, like, why is everything got to be teal and then purple and have weird crystals? Everything has been Fortnite-ified, where every game that comes out that seems soulless and corporate is built in this really weird art style, and it spills over. Like Far Cry 6's DLC had it. Of course, Fortnite puts it first and foremost. A bunch of expansions to multiple like DLC to multiple live service games have done this. Like every game nowadays just has big purple crystals and stuff. It's really, really weird.
which we totally can for shoehorning in that awful combat.
Purple is Saints Row, yeah, but the teal and the weird crystals that are in like the outside areas, I just don't know why it is. Everything also, everybody starts to look like brothers and siblings to Fortnite characters. It's just weird. Like everybody started to do that bland like wash on character design, so their skin makes it look like or makes it look I can't talk. It makes it look like their skin is made of like a wet paper bag. And so it doesn't look like skin. It's just weird. It makes it look cartoony, but also not really cartoony, like semi-realistic. It's just really weird. It's the Fortnite-ification of games. It's odd.
A system that they refuse to let die with a whim. Deep Silver ultimately calls the shots for what the game is. Saints Row does not exist until they ask for one to be made. Whether they ask Volition or some other studio, they call the shots for what their IP is ultimately about. After all, it's literally their property. Volition wanted the reboot to be about gangs. Some of us in the core community were personally told early on that they were setting out to make Saints Row 2.5. But Deep Silver stepped in and said, no, that kind of subject matter doesn't sell games. Water it all down and make it about friendship. There's so much to be said about that, I'm only scratching the surface. If you guys want a remaster of the old games, it's entirely up to Deep Silver, and they just don't believe there's money to be made with it. This is just this one CM's opinion, but it's nearly verbatim for every excuse I've ever heard for why they just won't do it.
In my opinion, and this is mine, not the position of the company, I think it is more respectful of those games to leave them as they are. Any messing with them at this point is just going to upset people if Microsoft ever do something similar with backwards compatibility for PC, and if PS actually tried at all with backwards compatibility, that would be the dream. And honestly, there's probably a couple thousand fans that would buy a remaster. Passionate ones, don't get me wrong, and loud. Everyone talking on Twitter doesn't equal an actual intent to buy it. That's very true. That's very true. But that doesn't equal it being worth it to plow millions of dollars into it. Risk pissing people off if music is missing or changed, or it not capturing the game as they remember it. It's not going to grow the fan base. It would be fan service, which I love to do, but at the end of the day, it's a business, not a charity, and 1 and 2 were less popular than the others by a long way. The numbers don't add up, so I can see why it would not be a thing. That's just my thought as to why it's a big no, and it makes sense. I can see that. I mean, it does make sense. I don't know if it's only a few thousand people that would buy a remaster of the original Saints Row, but maybe. I could see that. Remasters are not always just a no-brainer. It's pretty rare for remasters to sell millions and millions of copies. And I'm talking remasters, not necessarily remakes. Remakes are more compelling, like the Mafia remake, I think is much more compelling than just like a bland reskin of Skyrim Anniversary Edition. But Bethesda has the built-in excuse of launching their games broken. So if you buy the Anniversary Edition that's visually at least improved a little bit, and also has a bunch of game-breaking bugs fixed thanks to the work of modders, then you're justified in buying it. Then it makes sense, right? Then it's not you just buying a quick reskin. You're actually going and getting something tangible because now the game will actually work. It's all part of the plan.
Too long didn't read, they just don't think there's enough money to be made to make it worth the effort. I mean, of course, we would argue that if presented to a new audience, modern gamers would love a remaster of the OG games as much as the fans would. But of course, they don't give a shit and they won't admit that. They will just claim that the community shifted interest, so that's why they must meet these new expectations.
I mean, I also think, like, I haven't played the original Saints Row, so let me be very clear. But I do think that a proper remake can build the fan base, build the community. And again, I'm just going to go to Mafia Definitive Edition. I can't even tell you how many people I had reach out to me when I made those videos on that game, come out and be like, I've never played a Mafia game before, but I just played Definitive Edition and I went and I bought Mafia 2, the remaster, not remake, the remaster that they did. And then they went and bought Mafia 3, and they actually got into the franchise because of the remake. So I think it can happen if it's done well. But that Mafia Definitive Edition is probably the most impressive remake that I can think of in recent memory. It just totally changes the game in all extremely positive ways while also retaining the feeling of the original. Like, it's amazing. It really, really is amazing. But that's expensive, and it takes a very talented team to do it. And if I'm not mistaken, it was the main dev team, whatever, Hangar 13, I think is what they're called. They are the ones that did it. So they put like their A team on the remake, not a secondary spin-off studio that just does these quick flips, but a main huge AAA top of the tier studio working on it. It was the main dev team. That's true. Resident Evil 2 remake, that's another great one. I think that probably also brought people into the fold for sure. I think that probably also did the same thing. That was also a great remake. And Resi 4 remake, that's another great example from this year. I mean, Resi 4 remake blew people away, and I know for a fact that was also an instance where a lot of people had never played like any of these Resident Evil games, tried 4, got really into it, and went on to buy like 7 and try the 2 remake. And so it is a thing that happens. It is a thing that happens for sure. And yeah, Jacob says he did exactly that after the Mafia remake. Yeah, it's magic.
They will never admit to their investors that they've done a bad job with modern Saints Row. It all comes down to what they think will bring in the most money. Saints Row fans are not the priority. In fact, now that they're starting to work on the Saints Row 2 patch again after all this time, there's some internal dialogue happening around the budget for it. How much more work is needed and if it's even worth it. That's not to say it's cancelled, but... And that's basically where my old script stops, because now the studio Deep Silver hired to complete the patch has shut down. Volition is closing doors. So what does that tell you? Now, I had planned to just keep it vague about those budgeting concerns, but now it probably doesn't matter. They were concerned about issues regarding updated UI, unlock screens, UGC, QA testing, and more importantly, there was a growing concern about the budget for dedicated Steam servers for co-op and multiplayer. That was apparently looking to be rather costly for them. I even heard they were looking into using Epic Online Services instead of Steam. The word around Deep Silver is that they wanted it out ASAP. But that means ASAP or we're shelving this shit. How much more work is exactly needed to get this thing done? And the truth is, they haven't been able to get a clear answer about that. Not good. It could just be a coincidence that the day after the Steam sale ends, Volition is canned, because it really looks like the Embracer bubble is bursting all around. But in regards to the Saints Row 2 patch, maybe they're also using that data to say a free patch for a 15-year-old game is no longer worth funding, because obviously the gaming community is no longer interested in Saints Row, right?
I mean, honestly, these numbers are not that terrible. I saw some numbers for some recent games like Immortals of Avium, a brand new game that was nowhere near as buggy or broken as Saints Row was, that it was down in like the 400 or 500 range. So I don't know where it's at now. Maybe it's better, or maybe it's way worse. I have no idea. But it's kind of crazy that for a huge game like Saints Row, again, $100 million game, that they're averaging like 1,500, 2,000, some days like 3,000 viewers, or 3,000 players.
It couldn't be because they ruined the series. Well guys, I'm just going to leave you with this. I was a part of a group that was helping out with the Saints Row 2 patch. I documented bugs, wrote reports, and gave my input about enhancements and how the game can be improved. My NDA expired and they wanted me to sign a 10-year NDA to continue my efforts to help out. And I refused to resign. Signing that would mean I couldn't tell you guys anything. I have played the patch and progress was going quite well for a while. That's what made me so confident that this thing was going to be released eventually. But this whole mess with Embracer, this truly puts things in limbo. The facts are this. Deep Silver still owns the Saints Row IP. The Saints Row reboot could still have a sequel produced. The Saints Row 2 patch could still be in the works. Volition dying doesn't really matter all that much. In fact, the core group of people that were working on the Saints Row 2 patch were hired independently anyway. Volition wasn't really going to use their manpower for it until they were done with the reboot. And ironically, the moment they get done with it, they shut down. So is the patch still coming? I don't know. People who have worked close with it don't know. It would be tragic if we never saw it. But that's up to Deep Silver now. And I'm not really hopeful about that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like every time there's a game that releases really, really problematic It's common for the bigwigs upstairs to look at the game and be like, okay, that failed, destroy it all. They did it with AC Unity is the common example that we throw out, because they're like, okay, that game was received poorly because we rushed it and it launched super broken. But we're not going to blame ourselves. It was poorly received because of the stealth and because of the co-op and because of the lighting engine and because of us trying to be really ambitious and like all these other things. And like maybe those things made it more difficult to get the game out on time and that caused the bugs and things, perhaps. But I think you threw the baby out with the bathwater. You're like, oh, the bathwater's dirty. Chuck the baby into the highway. Like that's what they did with Unity. That's what they've done with a lot of these big franchises that launch less than stellar. That's why it's good to see a game like Cyberpunk launch really buggy and broken, and then for them to go and fix it and actually improve it, not just abandon it completely. But I have a feeling that Saints Row is going to be one such game or franchise that gets just set on a shelf and forgotten about. Like I just don't think that they're going to bother with it. Maybe they try to tackle it and they're like, oh, we'll win back fan favor by releasing this Saints Row 2 patch that everybody will love and will make the game really great again and playable in the modern era without a ton of issues. Maybe we do that, but let's be honest, I don't think so. I don't think they do that.
As I've stated, with the budgeting concerns, it sounded like they were looking for a way out of it anyway. And well, maybe they got it. I personally know that Idle Ninja, as sick as he was on his deathbed, worked really, really hard on this patch. He cared so much about the Saints Row community. Saints Row fans were like a family to him, and he knew his contributions to this game would make all of our lives a little brighter. I got to see his love for all of us firsthand, but I often forget you guys are left in the dark about this stuff. This patch means so much, and I hope it continues. I hope they're able to fulfill Idle Ninja's legacy. But that's up to Deep Silver.
I don't know who Idle Ninja is.
Good nightmare is your friends try to make...
If he's passed away, that's terrible. Terrible. Somebody worked on this, oh, Jesus. If anything, put it out just for that guy. I mean, most of the work is done. Like, just send it out. Let the community continue working on it, you know? It's cool to see that he worked with them on the patch while they're working on it, providing feedback and stuff. That's cool. It's not super common. Like, I'll get reached out to by small studios that are working on stuff. And in some cases, you know, it's like really, really early on and they want me to play like a prototype and offer feedback. Other times it's a little further along and it's like alpha and they're like, oh, try this. Let us know what you think. In some cases, like they've already gone to the publisher and they've gotten the publisher to give them a big check to finish development. And in those cases, the publisher will even reach out and be like, hey, we'll pay you however much money to go and play the prototype or the alpha or the beta, whatever it is, and provide us feedback. So it is something that happens, but it's cool to see that they're going to YouTubers to work on something like a patch or an update for a game like that. That's super cool. I love to hear it. Let's see. Nah, AC Unity's lighting is extremely static. Color palette makes my eyes hurt. LOD is extremely bad, so popping is everywhere, and textures are low res. Textures are low. I can't talk today. Jesus. Textures are low res. Only when they're not properly loaded in or when hardware settings are not calibrated right. It can look very, very good, but I grant you very willingly that it does not run anywhere near as well as it should. The lighting is, by pretty much every account that I've ever encountered by industry professionals, the lighting engine in Unity is still extremely impressive by modern standards. It's very impressive what they're able to do with subsurface scattering on skin, what they're able to do with ambient occlusion, what they're able to do with some tricks to achieve the look of global illumination using baked lighting was very much ahead of its time. It has some drawbacks where like there's no dynamic day-night cycle. There's things like that can be frustrating for some. I personally don't see that as a problem. I don't mind no day-night cycle if it looks really good, but that's just me. That's just me. Is Grandma Sue excited about the move to the new house? Oh yes. Oh yes. Maybe I'll get like one of those glass cases like in Beauty and the Beast that the rose is in. Maybe I'll do that and she'll go in there. We could do that. I think it'd be good. Have her own little space. I think she'd love it. I think she'd love that. Would you like that, Grandma? Would that be pleasing to you? Maybe. Oh, golly. Okay. Oh, yeah, they apparently said that they're not bringing any DLC, or they have no plans to bring DLC to Tears of the Kingdom because they feel that they've put everything in the game and they don't need to add anything else. Which is that's kind of baller to just be like, no, we don't need to do any DLC. We're good. We're good. We feel pretty good about it. Oh, man. Yeah, they did confirm. I mean, usually DLC builds out like an extra like year where they're working on the DLC instead of everything else. So I'm okay with them taking some time. I'm okay with it. Just not bothering with DLC, just get right to the point. Go work on the next game. I'm down. I am down. Let's see. So says Jay also posted a new video on Mirage. Interesting. Let's see. I'm tired of people calling new games PS4 game just because the graphics don't look insane. The graphics aren't everything in a game, bruh. Totally agree. I mean, I think in some cases it's literal. Like, they're not exaggerating. It was designed for the PS4 and it's just been moved forward. So it's not where it should be. And, you know, when it's a cross-gen title, of course, then you can be like, yeah, it's a PS4 game that also runs on the PS5. That's true. Because you can't really... like to bring out MS Paint, like if we think of the capacity for like the PS5 is up here, computing capacity or whatever you want to say, and the PS4 could only compute with this much power. If we just think of this scale as like power, the taller it is, the more power it has. If a game is designed for the PS5, the floor is right here. This thing is not going to be able to run it because it's got that huge disparity. So if it can run on this, it can be brought to the PS5 because it's going to have all of this extra overhead. It can afford that extra room. It can run the PS4 game. That's no problem. And this is why when people see like cross-gen games today, they get frustrated because they're like, I wanted something that would take advantage of all this. Like, I paid $500 for this thing, or $550, whatever. I paid a lot of money for this new console, and you're only taking advantage of a little piece of it because you're trying to also still get a hold of this user base over here, which is like, you know, 100 million users or whatever it is. Like, we get why, but it's frustrating. But I totally agree. Graphically, that is one of the dumbest things people say, where they're like, the game is bad because graphically it's not great. The thing is, we are at an age where we are reaching a point of diminishing marginal returns. It's also like a logarithmic scale. Basically, like if we put right here, like from left to right is time. And then the y-axis is, let's just say, fidelity. It's fidelity. Yay. And then this is time. If we say this, back in like 1980, you know, what graphics were in 1980 were like not great, but serviceable. If we go forward to like 1990, all of a sudden you can see it's jumped up a ton. Like, this is such a crazy improvement. I mean, we're going like huge leap, like 50% of the chart. It's crazy, like night and day, right? But then as time goes by, we get to like 2000. And all of a sudden, okay, we still made some improvement. It's a good amount, but it's nowhere near as much from 1980 to 1990, right? And then we go from 2000 to like 2010. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, we went from here to like here. That's not that big of a leap. I mean, it's noticeable enough, but that's not that big of a leap. Then we go from 2010 to 2020. With modern gen, and it's like it's improved, but not that much. You know, It's not that much. Now we can like push for higher frame rates. Now we can like ray trace lighting a little bit. But these big leaps and jumps in terms of fidelity are largely a thing of the past. I mean, it's calmed down a lot. A lot. So people, I think, are now frustrated because they're like, hey, I got this 2020 console, and the leap from the 2013, I guess is what we probably should say, the leap from the 2013 console to this one is not that big. It doesn't look that crazy. And it's like, yes, nobody ever thought it would be if you like understood kind of how this works. It's a diminishing marginal return. And so it shouldn't surprise you when every generation is a little less exciting. It's the same thing with phones. Like, you remember back in like 2010, every time they announced a new iPhone, it was like a totally different device. It was like, holy cow, how did they get that working at all? That's magical. You know, it was really, really exciting. Nowadays, it's like, and this time we're removing all the buttons and you can't actually make calls on the phone because we want to be brave and stunning and beautiful because we are Apple and that's what we do. Next year, we'll be releasing a phone with 15 cameras and it will cost 3 times what this one does and it won't have a screen because we're brave. You know, like, it's just outrageous. Is this a sober stream? Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately. Oh yeah, man. Also, one of the weirder things, we looked at it on stream yesterday in case you missed it, but yeah, XQC reacted to one of our TikToks. That was freaking trippy. That was trippy as hell. I love Asmongold. Asmongold is like the king of the neckbeards, the king of the nerds. And so it's like seeing the God Emperor of mankind react to your stuff. You're like, I am humbled, my lord. I am humbled, my lord. So that was weird. That was a weird day. Luke should get drunk and do the 1,000 Planets stream. Yeah, just steadily getting worse and worse. My times are getting longer and longer between each one. It's like just totally losing focus. That's funny. Yeah, next time remove the front camera because we don't want any bezels. Yeah. Well, then you remove the display completely. That's the next step. Yeah, and I'm not joking. I mean, the bravery thing, that's something they said when they removed like the ports off of the MacBooks. They removed USB-A, they removed like DisplayPort or mini DisplayPort. They removed the SD card slot, everything, just to those USB-C ports on the side, right? And when they gave the presentation, they said, it's because we're brave enough to do what no other company would do and leap into the future. It's like, bro, you're just removing stuff. Like you're just removing stuff. That's all this is. It's insane. Oh man. Oh man. Wait till Mac added them back before I bought one. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they went back on it, but it just goes to show you, I mean, they must have had such crazy backlash for Apple to go back on what they said they were doing. It requires something pretty extreme, you know. I was brave when building my PC without a CD drive. Yeah, dude, that was one where Apple did it, and then all of a sudden, within like 6 months, no computers had CD drives. When I worked at Best Buy in like 2017, 18, I remember having people come in to buy laptops and they were pissed at that point that they didn't have CD drives. It was always like 56-year-old dudes or ladies that were pissed they couldn't put their DVDs in and watch DVDs anymore. And I was like, we can sell you a secondary like CD drive that you plug in and then you can watch it that way. But like CDs are extremely niche nowadays. They're like, this is just a scam. They're just... I was like, no, it's not. Scams involve deception. They are very clearly not putting CD drives in. So it's not a scam. Like, I know you don't like it, but just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's a scam. That's another one of my pet peeves is people misusing the term scam. People do it all the time. And they're like, this game I don't think is very fun. It's a scam. And it's like, No, you just didn't like it. Like, you could say that maybe the deception involved with like promises of something in Starfield that weren't delivered. You could say that's a scam because they did deceive you. Star Citizen, that's one where I've heard people say Star Citizen is a scam. And that's one where I'm honestly conflicted on, because I don't know if people who are putting money into the system of Star Citizen, I don't think they're mistaken. I think they fully understand what they're getting. You know, like if they said you have to pay $100 to play Star Citizen and the game will be out this year in its final form, that I think would classify as a scam if it didn't actually launch. And for some people early on, I think you could argue that it was a scam because they promised the game was coming out by like 2014 or 2016 or whatever it was, and it never did. Of course, it's been delayed. But at this point, they don't have any strict deadlines on like full crazy launches as far as I'm aware. So I'm not sure that it would like fit the same definition. They do constantly update their roadmap. You're right. And then when it launches, you know, it is a buggy, broken mess in large part usually, and then it takes a month for them to fix it. Like that's a very common thing, but yeah, it's just the term scam has a clear definition. It's like I cut it out of the video that went live this morning because I thought that it maybe came off as a little mean-spirited, but the guy says that I unintentionally lied in my review, which I think for him it's just semantics because it is. But to lie means to intentionally deceive. Like that is the textbook definition of a lie. So you can't lie unintentionally. You can deceive unintentionally. You can make a mistake. You can be mistaken, but it's not a lie. You know, like it's just not. It's not how the word is defined. And for scam, the word scam is defined as like usually an illicit business practice that screws somebody over effectively, involving deception. Like if somebody tells you, yeah, you sound like actually, yeah, exactly. That's why I cut it out of the video, because I was like, this doesn't really address the point of the video. This is just kind of dumb. So I cut it out of the video. But initially I was like, no, I'll go through the whole message that he sent and, you know, go through each piece and kind of defend myself on these points. And I was like, nah, that's just kind of stupid, you know. Selling kids the dream that everyone needs college is a scam. The promise of college, or what college can provide you, I think you could easily say that's a scam. Like they've done surveys. I just read this recently. Like they've done surveys of where they ask college students what their expected salary is going to be. And overwhelmingly, they all said, not all, okay, overwhelmingly, like, I forget what the exact stat was, but it was something crazy, like 70% or 80+% of college grads were expecting, oh, this is, I think, the exact one. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, now we're just going to see exactly what it says word for word. College students expect to make about $103,880 in their first job after graduation, a new survey suggests. But statistics show that the average starting salary for a college graduate is $55,260. They expect to make double what they're going to make. Double. What? That's crazy. So far, Real Estate Witches Survey conducted an online survey with 1,000 students in March and found that only 15% of students graduating in 2022 have accepted a job offer. And most of it is because they're waiting to get the job offer they think they deserve, which is like over 100,000. Journalism students, for example, expected 139% more than the median journalist's starting salary, projecting to make $107,000 1 year after graduating, while the average salary is actually just $44,800. I mean, this is why they're in journalism. They didn't go to, they didn't get a math degree. Sorry, is that me? That's me. That's so bitchy. I haven't had my coffee today. I just had a Red Bull, so I'm extra bitchy. But with that said, like, dude, overestimated by 139%. Imagine that wake-up call when you're braced and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna make $100,000. It's gonna be great. And then you get all of the offers in from these employers and they're all at 44. That's a wake-up call. That's what that is. But these college students all think that they're making that amount of money. It's crazy. Overestimates also persisted in undergrads' outlook for mid-career earnings. 10 years into their careers, the surveyed college students expected to make $200,000, but in reality, the average salary is just $132,000. According to Glassdoor, they also found that women reportedly have lower salary expectations than their male peers over time. On average, college women today expect to earn half a percentage point less than men in their first jobs, but within 10 years of graduation, the gap widens to 4.3. That's interesting. I mean, it's like, what do you expect? And they're expecting to make less. That's interesting. I don't know what that would reflect. If it's just like the guys feel that they are worth more than they are. I don't know. Previous research suggests that in reality, these gaps are much higher, especially when looking beyond college students. But among new college grads from 2020, for example, found that women earn an average salary of $52,000, while men average a salary of $64,000. But I mean, all told, going back to like what we were talking about, expecting 103,000 when you're actually going to make 55, that's a big oof. But this is something colleges are very happy to like not mention to you, to just be like, yeah, this will be probably somewhere in that range, when in reality they know you're going to be making 55 and that you're not going to really be able to pay the student loan back. But they don't really care because the loan's guaranteed by the Fed, so who cares? You know, who cares? It's just kind of scummy. The whole thing is scummy. Let's see. Okay. Anyway, not to mention and even promote the delusions. Yeah. Well, it's just, it creates this like weird culture where people, these students are, living a lifestyle because they're expecting once they get out of college that they'll be making X amount of money, and they live their lifestyle according to that. And then when they get out of college and they are not making anywhere near that money, their lifestyle has to shift a lot, and a lot of them don't. So they rack up a ton of credit card debt in addition to student loan debt, and they just get screwed over. Like, they just ruin their life financially within the first few years of being an adult. So bad expectations. Yeah, exactly. If you have proper expectations, you aren't going to be devastated like that. But a lot of people don't. It's a whole thing. Okay, let's see this Alan Wake gameplay footage they just dropped real quick, and then we're probably going to take a break, and then we're going to be on with Jor Raptor for the podcast. He's back, baby. We've got a lot to talk about. It's going to be a good time. Okay, let's see this Alan Wake thing.
IGN first for September is Remedy's long-awaited Alan Wake 2. To kick things off, we've got 11 minutes of brand new gameplay from an early mission played from the perspective of FBI agent Saga Anderson. You'll see a mixture of combat, puzzles, and detective work, as well as plenty of the series' signature unsettling atmosphere. Sit back and enjoy.
Yeah, visually and graphically, it is ridiculously pretty. Like, just look at the lighting. Jesus Christ almighty.
Okay then. Catchy tune.
Like, wow.
Excuse me. Do you know where... Auntie, in the middle of a show. I wonder if I'm the first FBI agent to ever get shushed.
I wonder, if GTA 6 is going to look something like this. I mean, maybe. It's going to be graphically very impressive because Red Dead 2 was really, really impressive. But here's a question real quick before we get back into this. There are rumors going around. Again, just rumors, it's not confirmed, but there are rumors going around that GTA 6 is going to cost $150. That they're going to launch it at $150, not $70. Definitely not $60, but $150. And what's crazy, I was looking on X or Twitter, whatever, in the comments on that post. And it was posted by like an a Rockstar reporter guy that like covers Rockstar games. So all of his followers are super hardcore fans of GTA, Red Dead, all that. What was alarming is that I didn't see hardly anybody saying, no way. You guys immediately went in chat and started going, nope, not going to do it. Nope. The hell? No shot. No shot. No way. Oh, hell nah. These people were not saying that. These guys were like, lol, still going to buy it. It's crazy. Maybe the online part for free? Maybe. But even then, they probably don't need to. Like, the thing is, GTA 6 is going to be like the highest selling game of all time. It would take a miracle for it not to be. It's just, that's what it is. It's just a huge game in the world's biggest franchise, and it's hotly anticipated, and it's going to break the internet when it launches. So if any game could do it, I think it would be GTA. I can't imagine they do. I mean, they probably do like the early access where they allow you to buy it for $70, but the launch version, like Starfield, instead of $100, the launch early access version is $150. And let's be honest, most people are going to buy the early access version. They can afford it. I mean, obviously if you can't afford it, you're not going to buy it. But for people that normally would maybe protest on principle, even though they could make that work financially, a lot of those people are going to say, screw it. It's GTA 6. I mean, come on. It's GTA 6. So I don't think that they're going to charge $150 flat. That's what you have to pay to get in. I think they will have a $70 option, but I would fully expect them to do an early access thing, maybe just like 5 days, but it's going to be like stupid expensive to get the early access. I have no doubt. Yeah, Take-Two Interactive got to squeeze out every last cent in your possession, even the ones that are under the couch cushions that you long forgot about. Exactly. Wouldn't that kind of break the industry in terms of pricing? It would definitely throw it for a loop, because I don't think that they would see bad numbers. Even if, which again, to be clear, I don't think that they're going to do 150 is the starting price. I think they're doing 70 and then early access for like 150 or 125 or whatever. And I think that's the better way to do it, because I think you're going to dodge a lot of the backlash, because you can be like, no, the game's $70 just like every other AAA game. If you want to play it with everybody else, it's 150, but you know, it's technically 70. So I think they get out of the messy area that way. But even if they launched it at 150 flat, that's just what you have to pay. Then the premium edition is 200. I think even then it would be a financial success, because GTA 6 is just that exceptional. It's just weird. People are willing to make a lot of excuses and concessions because of GTA. It's just weird, but that's my opinion. I think the franchise is so big, and there's so many people that would just be willing to throw money at it, that it would still be successful. I don't think they'd get any significant blowback. I mean, they get blowback, but I don't think it would have an impact. Anyway, back to Alan Wake, which looks graphically ridiculously good.
Hey, I'm looking for Ilmo Cascella, owner of the trailer park.
Then you're in luck. Introducing the brothers who need no introduction, the Koskelas. Ilmo voted Businessman of the Year by the Bright Falls Herald and
line.
Jaakko, a stay-at-home dad.
I'm proud of that.
I missed that Anderson sense of humor. It's great to see you again, Saga.
Yeah, super nice to see you again, Saga.
They act like they've known me for years. This keeps happening. You own the trailer park, right?
I don't know why it's echoing. This is one thing that drives me crazy, when you're like in a forested area and it's echoing. A forested area like this wouldn't create an echo. I don't get it.
Mind if I take a look inside?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the owner of the Watery Lighthouse Trailer Park, me, can help you with that. It's good to have our funniest resident back.
Resident? I don't understand what you mean.
If this is your way of getting out of any outstanding bills, don't worry. They've been handled. Must be hard coming back to where
Crisco
you had
super chatted
It's
$5.
really unsettling.
The guy on stage singing was the janitor from a control.
Oh. Oh, it totally is. Oh, that's crazy. Huh. I wonder if they're connected somehow. I don't actually know. Thank you for the 5, my friend. Luke, just want to say, but let's see. EA just added DLSS to Jedi Survivor on PC. Oh, is it a lot better? Is it like fixed?
your little girl lived.
It's like they remember a different reality.
Hmm.
Is the horror story messing with their memories?
Nightingale. Oh.
Ilmo made it sound like I lived here. Does he really believe that?
Light, laughter, and love will guide you home. Saga and her daughter. Oh boy. Happy faces raise property value. Family comes first, Ilma. We take care of her trailer while she's gone. She's one of us, Yakko. Her spare key is safe and sound.
The Koskela brothers have happy memories of me living here. This must be the story affecting them. I'll play along for now. I need the key to that trailer.
Okay.
All joking aside.
Yeah, it looks like instant loading for
yes,
that.
I would like to see my trailer. Do you have a spare set of keys?
Good for you. Yeah, I have a spare set. They're just over at Coffee World. I'd get them for you, but Yakko and I have to head to Bright Falls. The spare keys are in...
Hold on. I'm about to blow your mind, Luke. It is not unlikely that the engine used for this game is set up in a way where outside areas are actually rooms and haven't adjusted the audio properties in it yet. I mean, maybe. It could also just be weird recording techniques, let's be honest. A lot of the time, this stuff is captured by somebody in the media team, and it's not necessarily from the devs. And so they could have it set to, like, you know, sometimes you might have the game set to play audio through, like, surround sound, but you're actually just listening to it through speakers or through headphones. And so it only captures the front 2 channels, and so it sounds weird as a result. Sometimes it's as simple as that. And so it like causes weird distortions. I've seen that with a couple of game trailers, and then the actual game has no problem whatsoever. So maybe that's what it is. But if it's just how the game ships, it is weird that there's like, it sounds like they're in a tiled bathroom in a football stadium, not outside standing next to a forest and trees.
The gift shop safe. I'll call ahead and have someone get them out for you. Oh, the road's flooded, but if you just follow this trail behind me, it'll lead you there. Call the gift shop so they can give Saga a hand. Yep.
Fuck! FBI, show yourself!
I don't think that thing cares about you being a member of the FBI. Yeah, I don't think he cares. He's like Honey Badger. He don't give a crap. The really tight FOV is making me like motion sick.
More people turning into Taken.
I mean, it seems super punchy and the animations are good, but like, geez, that tight FOV is gonna kill me. Hopefully you can tweak that on PC. Otherwise, I'm gonna be like hurling.
Hello? Anyone here? Nope.
Did they get out? Did the Taken get them? Or were they turned into Taken?
Yeah, it's like
I'll need to get the key to the
gameplay
trunk
of
myself.
Resident Evil mixed with graphical fidelity
Elmo
you
said the key is
usually
kept in the
see
gift
with like
shop
Naughty
safe.
Dog or Santa Monica.
Locked. Needs something
But
to
I mean,
jimmy it open
super Resident Evil in like inventory. I don't know. Did the first Alan Wake do that?
with. A list of
Was that a
maintenance
thing?
work.
Okay.
A screwdriver. Huh.
But it mixes in these like detective systems, so not quite like Resident Evil, kind of mixing in some of the Sherlock Holmes games.
Coffee World. The most caffeinated place on Earth. And yet nobody's here to help me get that key.
Hmm.
Using screwdrivers to break into gift shops isn't exactly standard procedure.
Okay. So by looking through the notes, she saw information about using a screwdriver to open the lock, so then you can look for a screwdriver instead of just the key. Kind of encourages you to actually read the notes. It's not bad. New info out about Bloodlines 2. They got a new developer. Oh, really? Oh, baby. We can look at that in just a minute. Yeah, dude, just imagine what this looks like not compressed. That's cool. The enemies seem super spongy, though. Oh, she's magic. Why didn't she just do that from the start?
This should get that gift shop open.
That was funny. She's holding the gun backwards while she drinks. I don't know if that's an FBI technique. That seems like a bad idea to have your thumb on the trigger while you point it towards yourself. But maybe that's like a cool FBI technique. I don't know. That might be new. I haven't been to a like concealed carry training whatever thing in a minute. Yeah, it's work in progress. Yeah, it's all just fun. Let me be clear. Like that's something where clearly I think that's fixed by launch. Like it's not a big deal. Okay, considering work in progress, like this looks very, very good. But it is objectively hilarious that she holds the gun and it's like. We'll go. I mean, so far, I love the ambiance. The ambiance. Graphically, it's stunning. The tone seems really interesting. I'm not loving the combat. Though I will grant you that's probably because I'm pretty biased with regards to the tight FOV. It can just make me feel super motion sick. Like already I'm kind of like, oh my God. Can you have horror without a tight FOV? Maybe not. I mean, the tight FOV means they can hide stuff off screen more easily. It also means that they only have to draw a tighter frame, so they don't have to worry about all the stuff around you rendering. So you can usually get higher fidelity by doing it, which is why it's limited on console. But on PC, you can usually widen it. So I hope that they allow you to widen it. I mean, I think, like, again, it looks really, really good. It seems to be an interesting mesh of a bunch of different games. Personally, like, that tight FOV might be a game breaker or a deal breaker is what I was looking for. That might be a deal breaker for me, just because, like, if it makes me physically ill to play it, I'm not going to play it. But if I can tweak the FOV, I'm all in. Because already, like, I feel kind of nauseous just having watched that. Sure, you can make it first person then? Okay. Okay. Happily. Yeah, it's just, for whatever reason, the tight FOV. I don't know what that is, if it is just motion sickness or if it's also motion sickness combined with some other thing. I don't know what that says about me and my brain, but tight FOVs screw with me. Like, it's real bad. And also first person games with that, like with, I think, is it without head bob? Whatever Doom is, like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, those Quake type of games where it's really slick movement. So I guess without head bob, for whatever reason, those games screw with my brain too. Sway. Yeah. Sway. That messes with me real bad. Doom, I can't really play Doom. It makes me sick, which is a bummer because I love it. I can only play it for like 10 minutes though before it gets me like actually nauseous, where I have to shut everything off, go sit in a very cold air conditioned room and just chill. My favorite horror type is Little Nightmares. I do like Little Nightmares a lot. I like Little Nightmares a lot. Do I play things in VR? Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got an Oculus Quest 2. I played Half-Life Alyx, or as everybody calls it, Alyx, for some reason. So I played that. I have those Witcher VR, or they're like, they're really cool. Like, it puts basically a huge screen in front of you while you're just wearing the glasses. On the plane to and from Arizona, like, we're just sitting on the plane, and I just put those glasses on, connected to my phone, and it's like I have a big 100-inch TV in front of me that I can look at. Like, that thing's super cool. And apparently for some people, it makes them super nauseous. Doesn't make me nauseous at all, which is weird because I'm normally pretty sensitive about it. But Blade and Sorcery, no, I'm scared to do that one. And the other one that is like super intense, the crap, whatever it's called. Oh man, I don't remember what it's called. Avian, no, it's the one where it's like there's all the clips of people using it where they like can swing around like Spider-Man, or then they can set up little scenes and shoot through stuff. Oh man. It's like known to be the one that's gonna make you Bone Lab. That I think that's right. Bone Lab. Yeah, Bone Lab will actually like. I'm scared to try that one. Bone Lab. That's it. And no, not the Facebook glasses. Their Vitcher. We did a sponsorship with them. They sent over one of the pairs of glasses. And I actively use them all the time. Like, it was one of the coolest sponsorships we've had in a while because they're just really unique and trippy, and I freaking love them. Like, they're just crazy. You can hook them up to consoles. You can hook them up to your Switch for travel. They are amazing because, like, I always, when I'm on the plane, I'm not sponsored by them anymore, for the record, so this is just me talking honestly about what I think about them. Like, I always talk honestly about the sponsors, but like, I'm not sponsored to say this. I'm just saying openly what I think, because I like them a lot. But like, on planes, I always end up having the phone down on the tray, and then I just am kind of like this, and my neck hurts by the time I'm all done at the flight. It's just terrible. But with these things, like, you just put them on, and it's like a big screen in front of you, and you just sit in the chair, and it's just like a massive TV before you. It's awesome. I love it. What if you have prescription for glasses? With that, they actually have whatever dials on the very top of them, so you can make the adjustments for your eyes. Wonder if they actually show that. Adapter, glasses. Remote play, comfortable and lightweight. Yeah, nearsighted, no problem. You just change these and dial it in, which is super cool. So you can customize it. What's the cost? I mean, they're pricey. They're pricey. I mean, it's augmented reality glasses, but the glasses are like $439. They launched at $550. And unironically, the packaging is some of the best packaging I have ever seen for a product, full stop. Like, better than Apple's packaging. It's crazy. I know that probably is not like necessarily a selling point, but it's the details. The details are cool. And you can also get like two of them, a dual pack with two glasses. And so like with this thing, this is the little dock. So you plug your Switch in. It has a little mounting bracket so that this thing kind of snaps onto the back of the Switch when you have it on. And you can plug the Switch into that with the USB-C, or your Steam Deck or your ROG Ally. It goes into this. And then you could have two cables just going out to each glasses. So you, like you, your girlfriend, you, your wife, husband, whatever, could be on the plane and both like playing a split screen game on a huge screen, which is crazy. Or if you just want to like play something off your phone or play something off of Netflix or whatever while you each have your own glasses on, you can do that. It's crazy. It's crazy. They're magic. I know, like, I think Linus Tech Tips, he didn't like the glasses. He did like a little review thing for them. But he also didn't mention like 2 or 3 of the big features, like the fact that you can triple click one of the buttons and it will track your head movement, so the image will stay even as you rotate your head. So you can like look around the image and it will stay still because it tracks your head movement. That's like a huge thing that these glasses do that none of the others do. And like they just don't mention that stuff. Like, but shocker, I mean, that was before all the stuff came out with Linus about him skipping details in reviews just to pump the video out quickly. So I guess that's it shouldn't be that big of a surprise. But oh yeah, all 19 inches of the Venom thing. I don't know, man. I'm out of space. In the new studio, we'll have space again, but I'm out of space now. I have nowhere to put stuff. And my deal with myself is that I can't buy anything new until we're in the new studio, because then I'll have room for stuff. But until then, I don't want extra stuff to move. So I'm making myself stop. 19, baby. You heard me here, Brad. You heard me. You heard it here. Heard it here first. Sure did. Will you be getting the Apple VR glasses? Honestly, real talk, I'll probably buy a pair or a set or whatever you call them. We'll use them for a couple of videos, or a video. I'm going to do like, I tried gaming in Apple's VR headset, and then I'm probably just going to return it. Like, let's be completely honest. For the video, I think it makes sense. Like, oh, it could be a fun video just to try gaming and doing like the whatever games and apps that they're probably going to have at launch for it. But like, there's no way that I'm going to be keeping that thing. Like, I'm not going to coffee shops and using that. I'm not going to be in the studio, like working on videos with that thing on. Like, no. But I might get it, like see what it's like and make a video with it and then return it and get my money back and move on. So yeah. We're about to get 5 more camera angles in the new studio. I've actually considered dropping and selling all of these cameras. This one, and the third one. And trading all these cameras and selling all of them just to get one 4K 60 camera that's really, really nice. And just doing like this camera angle and that's it. I don't know if I would be able to do that because I'm used to all the different camera angles and switching, but I think I could probably manage. I could probably manage. I didn't even know we had a third camera. Yeah, you can just barely see it out of frame right here. I'm touching it right now. That's the camera, but it gives us a third view for building like Warhammer minis. You can see the stain. This is from a margarita that I kind of accidentally dropped. So I cleaned it up, but I basically you have to take the whole pad, take it into the bathtub, rinse it, and then you put like dish soap in there, and then you kind of rub down the mat and then let it soak for a little bit, and then you rinse it off again and then take it outside to dry in the air. So it's kind of an ordeal to clean one of these. I just have to do it though. Cayman Jacks, yeah, dude, they're so good. Drinking at the office again every day, baby. You're damn right. No, I don't have any margaritas at the moment, so we're just chilling. What camera or what keyboard are we using? This is a Keychron Q6, I believe is what it is. Keychron Q6. You should get an 8K foot camera. I would love to explain that purchase to my CPA. That would be so funny. What was this like? This $15,000 purchase you made? Why is it under business? Oh, that's the foot cam. The what? It's a camera for my feet. If the viewers pay and donate past a certain point, they get the foot cam. Oh. Interesting. Dude, that would be killer. That would be so funny. It would be so funny. You'll get on Wiki Feet. Yeah, dreams come true, baby. Dreams come true. I thought I was talking about a margarita pizza. Dude, that sounds really, really good, though. I'm hungry. If you do that, I'll donate $500 for the foot cam, baby. Unironically having a foot cam. CPA, Mr. Ritz-Carlton over here is too big for H&R Block. I guess. The CPA was nice because we have like, the other piece of it is that like, I want all of my information to be a little more private. Obviously I've got kids and a wife. I don't want to deal with all the craziness of the internet. So having a CPA means that I can just have them handle like all of my paperwork for me. So all my business docs, everything gets sent to them, which is the way to do it. Okay. Just make sure we are good to go for Mr. Joe Raptor when he comes along. Think so. Okay. Are we gonna mispronounce Mirage for funds? It could be funny. I mean, I think if it's bad, we'll call it like Mirage or Mirage or something. Assassin's Creed Mirage just really didn't connect with me. You know, we could do that. That could be funny. But I think it's only fair to do that if it's bad. If it's bad, we get to make fun of it. But if it's good, I don't want to be like, Miraha. Oh, that could be good. Assassin's Creed Miraha. That's good too. I like that one. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Or Mervin. Assassin's Creed Mervin. That's funny. When you get the Apple VR, do an entire stream with it on and your digital eyes showing. Dude, we should totally do that. Be like, I'm in the future, guys, with the eyes kind of pointing in different directions. We're here. We've arrived. Apple's figured it out. Mirage. That's also a good one. Oh, man. Give us a little Valhalla, sorry.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
That poor guy. That poor guy. Oh, man. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. What a champ. Okay, what I'll do is we will call this stream here. We will be back with Mr. Joraptor for the podcast here in just a little bit. Honestly, let me just Google. What time is it in Amsterdam? $8:55. 9. So yeah. So it's 9. So we should be good to go. Here in just a little bit. So what I'll do is we'll end this stream event. I will create another one for the podcast. We're probably going to have like a 5 to 10 minute break, and then we'll be back with Joraptor and rock and roll. Sound good? Sound good? So take a little pee break. We'll be back with Joraptor for the podcast here in just a few minutes, and I will see you in that other stream event. Just go to the channel page and you should see it. But anyway, much love, everybody. We'll see you in just a few minutes in that other event. It's going to be a good time. See you there. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.